Hey everybody, I'm out at the farm to stretch out some archery practice for the weekend. It's what I like to do every weekend during the summer, getting ready for hunting season. And I'd like to go over just one of the things that I got on my bow that's new this year, and it's this stabilizer right here. It's called a crossover stabilizer. And the unique thing about it is a telescoping stabilizer. So once you tighten the knuckles there, you got a stabilizer extended out. This particular model of the crossover stabilizer, I believe, is a 10 to 21 inches. There is also a 12 to 33 inch, and then there's a smaller one, which I think would be used for a side or back bar. So I have the one that extends out to 21 inches. The reason I've gotten the stabilizer is I do dabble in target archery, but more so I'm a hunter first. So I shoot a lot of league stuff during the winter, and I wanted to try out a longer stabilizer, but I didn't want to spend $200, $300, $400 on a big long stabilizer that I'm only going to use for leagues. So in my research, I found this crossover stabilizer, and I can use it this long during the leagues, and I can use it this long during hunting. Now, I think I am going to try it longer for hunting as well in situations where it works. Obviously, if I'm in tight quarters in a tree stand or whatnot, I will keep it shorter, and I'll always keep it shorter with the transport out to my tree stand, or if I'm out west, if I'm just putting miles down, I'll have it the shortest possible. But the reason I like this one, the 21 inch model, instead of the 33 is when I nock an arrow, if you see, my arrow is pretty much the same length as the stabilizer. So before I'm drawn back, even if you know, the stabilizer's out this long, but before I draw back, if there's something in the way and I have to get my arrow around it, the stabilizer's the same length. I was gonna have to do that no matter what. So that's one reason I got the middle stabilizer. So why get a long stabilizer? Why do all the league or target people use longer stabilizers? Well, I've noticed that when I use a longer stabilizer, my pin float is slower and it's smaller. I try to achieve a back tension shot when I shoot my bow, and what you need to do is you need to be allowing your pin to move, and you don't care that it's moving and that your bow goes off with a surprise shot. Well, it's a little bit easier, I think, to do a back tension shot when your pin is floating smaller and slower. When I retract this back in, my pin float then gets bigger and it gets a little bit faster. The reason being is you have this forward weight out here farther away from your bow, slowing the movement down. So I've been shooting it for about 6 months. I've really liked it. I shot it through all the leagues, and did shoot better this year. Not saying it's only because of the stabilizer. Obviously form and practice comes into play. But I noticed that when I extend it out or I have it retracted in, my point of impact is the same. My sight tape doesn't have to fluctuate between a longer stabilizer and a shorter stabilizer. And then ultimately, when you do have a stabilizer for a front bar and a back bar here, there is a balancing to the weight you have in the front and the weight you have in the back. There are plenty of videos out there on how to figure out how to balance that out. So I'm gonna leave that up to the pros. So just, you could look up a video or some articles and figure out how you want to balance it based off the length of your stabilizers and whatnot. So, but yeah, I like it. I'm gonna try it hunting this year, and if you're interested in getting one, I'll put a link in the description below. Well, that was just at 60 yards. I don't have a 60-yard mark, so I just was aiming at the spot. Looks like they all hit low, but fairly consistent, so we'll check out the group. But I have found that when I have the stabilizer extended, my groups are tighter. It's just that float is a little bit slower and a little bit smaller. And so we'll check out 60 yards. Looks like I have one arrow low and the rest look pretty good. So that's my 60-yard group. Now, I don't really ever shoot 60 yards in the woods, but I like to practice a lot farther than I'm willing to shoot in the woods, so that when I do get out into the woods, those 30-yard shots are pretty easy peasy. So another thing with the stabilizer is that I don't know these where you can tighten and loosen the telescoping. It's a type of plastic for sure, but then it has like a carbon fiber rod. I added the quick disconnect here. I just put quick disconnects on all my stabilizers so that when I throw it in the case, it can come on and off really quick. That's what I like to always do. So it's on, it's off. So that's what I always like to do with any stabilizer I have, but this stabilizer did not come with a quick disconnect. So, but yeah, I mean, for someone that shoots back tension and doesn't want to spend a ton of money on getting a target stabilizer, but wants to try it out, this is definitely a good option. They're definitely cheaper. I want to say they're around the $100 mark compared to target stabilizers that are way more expensive. So check it out. I'll put the link in the bottom.